Well, hey there, it's Elke.
And Jen, and welcome to another episode of the Creative and Ambitious Entrepreneur Podcast. And in this episode, we are talking about how Elke earned $37,000 on Zazzle in 1 year.
And how that goes about is going to be the topic, and also we'll give you some great tips on how you can understand what it takes to do that. So let's get started.
Yeah. So first of all, the first point that we want to cover is what is Zazzle and how do you use it to make money? Zazzle is a wonderful print-on-demand platform, which Elke and I have been in business on their platform for the last 14 years. We opened up our first accounts and stores there, and we have now, gone throughout the last 14 years on Zazzle, and it's been
awesome.
amazing. It is a wonderful platform. So it's a print-on-demand platform where you post products for sale, and when you sell a product to a customer, you earn a royalty. And you can also potentially earn referrals as well if you promote your products. And so that is how you make money on Zazzle, by selling the products that you've created and earning a royalty and also possibly a referral.
Yeah, and just to go a little deeper, print on demand is exactly what it means. Like the products all look amazing. They look like they're real, but they're not. It's just all digital. It just looks really cool, and your designs are added to the products. And then when the customer buys it, then Zazzle takes these blank products and prints your design on them. And so that is a really nice evergreen model as a way to do business, and it allows people to be the manufacturers of their own designs. And I love that, because some of the things that Jen and I sell, when we see the reviews, we don't even recognize our original design. They started out with something and then they totally make it their own, and I love that, because it just increases the number of dollars that we make, because we still get paid for those things, even though it doesn't even look like the thing that we posted for sale. And so it's not like Etsy or eBay, where you post a product and it's physical and it's in your garage, and then it's, you have to take it to the post office and ship it to whoever buys it. This is just such a beautiful business model where it looks like we're like a big merchandiser, but really we're not, and we're just using the Zazzle platform, and then they do all the work, and we keep making more products and promoting our stuff. But in the meantime, we don't have any outlay of cash and things like that. We need to work on getting the products, or working with advertising, and also just not having to deal with traffic and getting traffic to our site to sell in the first place. It's really, really great. Do you want to add to that?
No, that's it. Yeah,
Okay, so I think you can hear the joy and the excitement in our voice for Zazzle. This is actually what this platform, even the podcast, is all about, is convincing people that Zazzle is a contender. Zazzle is one of the things that makes life happen for you. It's not just sort of an oddity out there, because everyone else knows about Redbubble, Society6, Cafe Press, Teespring, Spoonflower for some reason, and yet they don't know about Zazzle. And we are here championing Zazzle for as long as we can breathe. and we also just want to bring to your attention that while you've been doing other things, or maybe not even have been aware of Zazzle yet, we've been doing this for a long time, and we are so proud actually to not just be doing the two of us, and still being on the Zazzle platform and making money. And that's why we're a little bit protective of our accounts, because it's not fair if you kind of look at our stuff. You don't want to, we want to make sure that we're still making money, because we are also still dependent on that income. But our clients are doing really, really well too, using the 5 strategies, which is what made us successful. I developed them because I was working through and making a lot of bad decisions, let's just put it that way, in terms of how I was making money on the platform, and it resulted in obviously very little income. But then all of a sudden I just jumped from $2,300 in 1 year to the next year being $37,000. And so what made that change? And that's what we're going to talk about here, is my case study to help you get through this, and also understand about how you could possibly get through and increase your income on the Zazzle platform, because people do make a lot of money on the Zazzle platform. Sometimes you just don't hear about it because everyone's holding back and trying not to get people to copy their stuff, which is unfortunate, but there's so much room and availability for everyone to shine with their own unique talents. And when you do that, actually you start making money. And that's what our message is as well, besides you hearing more and more about what it is that I did to get from 2,300 to 37,000 in 1 year. Okay, so let's get started. I don't think you we'll link in the show notes to the last episode we did, where we went through all of the dollar figures, and so we weren't in terms of what I earned year by year. But what I want to do in this episode is concentrate more on helping you understand how do you make that huge shift and jump, okay? And obviously we can't tell you everything in one episode here, but we can tell you what, and then if you obviously want to, we have courses and training and coaching, so this is definitely a little bit of a plug for the Profit by Design Academy, because it's done so well for other people. Combined, so far, the people who have told us their income in the last 4 years that we've helped, they've made over $3 million in income, and that's because they have followed what I'm going to talk to you about here. And obviously you need a little bit more help, and you can't just learn it in one episode here, but ultimately the 5 strategies that I'm going to talk about are definitely part of the equation for you also getting to your success level. And so we're excited to share a little bit more about that and our insights over the course of the time that it took me to do that earnings jump. All right, so let's just start with some general lessons, which both Jen and I learned that are key to getting Zazzle, understanding Zazzle. Why, if you go on the platform and you're on Redbubble and Society 6 and you're selling there, how come it doesn't work on Zazzle? And so what we learned, and Jen's going to go over these, there's just a really couple key points as to why it's so important to make these shifts in addition to the 5 strategies. Okay, so you want to go over those?
Yeah, so the first tip and understanding, let's say, or lesson that I learned was that we need to treat our Zazzle business as a business and not as a hobby. A lot of Zazzle designers, when they first sign up and create their first account, myself included, and Elke also, we thought that we could just play around with it and it would become more of just a fun thing that we did in our spare time, and that we would see if it made money or not. And if whatever happened, right? We never really treated it as a Zazzle business until we realized that it could potentially be something more. And when we made that shift between hobby and business, that's when we really started to see results. And a lot of our clients have recognized that after years of spending time on Zazzle, thinking that it's just a fun thing to do, when they finally realize that it needs to be treated as a business, that's when they also start to see results, right? And people think that for some reason, I always associated Zazzle as something just fun, like it's almost like a computer game type thing. And so I never really thought of it until Elke started, putting into strategic action steps into her Zazzle business, that it could actually be something potentially amazing and huge in the future. I never really saw the end game. I always just was here in the little moment of my time way back when, right? In the day of daily activities type of thing, right? And so I didn't see the potential. And so when we made that shift, especially Elke first of all, and then she taught me and showed me that she needed to do this and make it a business, because if not, then it would never actually work properly. I decided to do the same, and I followed her 5 strategies that she created. And that's when I started to see results. And I can truthfully say that when you make that shift between hobby and business, it feels so much more better, and you know exactly what you can potentially have. And then you have a lot more structure and that proven plan, right? And when you're just kind of doing it as a hobby, you're just throwing spaghetti at the wall to see if it sticks, and you're seeing, you're just kind of playing around. You're not really taking it seriously. And I'm not saying that if you are treating it as a business or as a hobby right now, you're not taking it seriously. It's just that you need to make that next step to actually realize that it is a business. And I was also in the mindset that when I was on Zazzle, just because I didn't have a boss, or I didn't have physical inventory, or I didn't have, a shop, like literally a physical shop, it wasn't truly real, so to speak, like 100% real. It was more so just I could see if it worked for me. It was just sort of something fun that I could do. And so I think a lot of clients and people on Zazzle resonate with that a lot, because it's not something that you really need to put 100% of the effort in, because you can just let it ride by itself. But if you truly dedicate your time to it, then it can be something much better.
And what was really interesting, though, wasn't that we had to put more hours in. It was that the hours we did put in should be very specific, and that's the difference, right? For in a hobby, it just keeps going. You're having fun. And then you put all this effort in, and it was really enjoyable. And then you get frustrated because you didn't make any sales. But if you think initially about what it is that I need to get done, so that those products are floating around on the Zazzle marketplace, that gives you the highest chance of selling, then you'll get that return, and you don't have to do that in a gazillion hours. You can do that in 20 hours a month, which is what we teach in the Profit by Design Academy.
Yeah. And the second tip or lesson that we learned was to not have our artist ego get in the way. We have a lot of artists, we have appreciation for our artwork, and we have this personal connection to it. And so as an artist, we think that it needs to be presented a certain way, and or maybe as an artist we don't have the ideas that maybe we could potentially have because we're kind of stuck in our own head or inside a box. And on Zazzle and on the print on demand community and platform, we are able to use our artwork in so many other ways than we traditionally thought would be possible. And so letting go of your artist ego to let those possibilities come into your realm will definitely help you and expand your reach and your possibilities for clientele. Because if you keep onto your artist ego and say, no, this is how it needs to be, and this is the only way that I can sell my artwork, you're limiting your possibilities. And so when we let go of our artist ego, so many doors open for us in terms of what we could do.
And as soon as we say artists, people might be going to say, oh, it's painters only, watercolors, oil, acrylic, or whatever. But it's everybody. As creatives, we have a lot of ego, right? We think that this would be great, and so we think others think it would be great, which over time, definitely you can build that skill up and get that intuition. But also sometimes you can be you do your own thing in your own world. You're maybe in galleries, or you even photography. Anything that is creative that you've made, the people around you, if they say, "Wow, this is great, you should sell this," then that's what you're using as your guideline as to what is great and what's not great. But then when you put that all on the Zazzle marketplace, is it truly meeting the needs of the Zazzle customer rather than the friends around you? And so that's the switch as well when you get to the ego. And most of the time it's the ego's bruised, right? Because everyone's telling you it's great, but then it doesn't sell on Zazzle. And so you're thinking, wow, how come there's this disconnect? And you feel like your ego's being bruised. So you have to let go of that ego, right? Yeah. So that's part 2 of the ego, which was really hard for me. But it wasn't that they didn't like my stuff. It's just that, how come I can't make money using my stuff? And I can. I just didn't know how to do it in a business way. Yeah.
And then the third lesson that we learned was understanding how Zazzle is different from other print-on-demand platforms. There are other platforms out there to make money online. We had done a lot of research, especially Elke, when she first started out on Zazzle, trying to figure out how to make money online because she decided to quit her corporate job. And we realized that there were a lot of other platforms available to us, but we outweighed the pros and cons, and Elke, as I said, did her research, and Zazzle seemed to be the best one. And we started to work with Zazzle, and then we finally realized that Zazzle actually has, for our own personal ways of working and what we value and our beliefs in terms of what we truly value in a business, and or our freedoms, let's say, in terms of time, location, money, all of those things, which we talk about in other podcasts as well. So if you're interested in learning more about that, the pros definitely outweigh cons, far out. And so we decided to use Zazzle. And so understanding how we can use our artwork and use our time efficiently and use our skills to build a business on Zazzle versus another platform, because many of them are different. They all have different platform, regulations and products, all of those things. And so building a business and understanding how we can utilize those 5 strategies, which Elke created to work with Zazzle, was very important as well, because we need to learn how to work efficiently on these platforms, right? Rather than just trying to figure out how, just play around and see what works.
Yeah. And what the differentiating factor also really that weighed heavily on our decision was the customization option. So that just opened up so many more opportunities for us to have the ability to create, take our designs, but then add that customization aspect. And so there were just all of a sudden this huge amount of products that were available to us in multiple different niches that are one little creative piece that we're bringing to the whole design wouldn't have been able to touch on with those other, like how do we not customize and added text or added photo fields. And that just changed everything. And we love that about Zazzle, that it's the customization platform, and people come to that platform for that reason, because of the technology. In other places like Redbubble, Society6, you're just uploading your design, and that's all you can sell. Whereas in Zazzle, you can sell the uploaded design, then you can add another the same design to another product, it's the same product even, but then add text as a customization, either a monogram or make it into like something with for business or for occasions. And also you can add photo templates. All of that changed how we looked at the possibility of what our initial creative assets that we had could be used for and how they can make money. And that goes back to the artist ego of, if you let go of that artist ego that can only be like your stuff can only be on a canvas, for example, then now you can add text, you can add photo fields, it can be a background instead of the main piece. Then your money that you can make on the Zazzle platform just explodes, right? And together, those are our top big lessons that we learned, because we were working too hard. We were trying to sell something once, or trying to sell something the way it was, not by looking at all these other opportunities. And once we started doing that, we realized the world is our oyster in terms of our opportunities to sell. Okay. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, but now we should move into the business tips, right?
So now our business tips for you is, and to tell you what the background was in terms of me going from 2,300 to 37,000 in 1 year. And this was way back in, I'm going to look at my notes, way back in 2000, between 2008 and 2009, when Zazzle's actually was really like at the sort of start. They started in 2005, but we were in beta until about 2007 or something. And so this was really huge because most people at that point were saying, no, you can't make money on the platform. And all of a sudden I like 10 times my income. And then the year after I made $50,000. The year after that I made $67,000. And the year after that I made over $100,000. So as soon as I went from, like I did 2 years of really difficult work, then I said, I've got to figure out a business way of handling this because I can't just keep making this a hobby. And then as soon as I did that, I had this tenfold increase, and it just kept going up and up and up. So that's where the 5 strategies come in. But at the time, of course, it wasn't the 5 strategies, right? It was all in my head. It wasn't nicely packaged into 5 strategies. But that's when people started asking me how I did it, including Jen, then I had to, extract it because I just did it. I just learned and I did it, and I had certain processes. And ultimately, when I had to explain it to people, it was nice and neat in these 5 strategies. So let's go into these. All right. Establish is the first, create is second, announce is third, align is fourth, and analyze is fifth. Okay. So, and you can't run a proper business that's profitable unless you have all of these 5 strategies working for you effectively. If you don't have one, like if one of them is missing or you're not doing as well on one of them, everything falls apart because they're very interconnected, and it's important that all 5 are equally operating effectively. Okay, so let's just dive into each one so you know what to do for each of the 5. And then obviously, there's always some really great conversation that happens with our YouTube channel or also on the show notes. Please put some comments in. We'd love to hear from you because this is how you can understand better what it takes to run a business. All right, so establish. What the heck does that mean? It's just a nice fancy word, but ultimately it means that you have to set the groundwork. You have to set the groundwork in terms of not only the skills that you need on the Zazzle platform, like how do you use the design tool, how do you upload a product, how do you label products properly so that they get found on the marketplace, and but you also have to learn how to become an entrepreneur, and that's that shift from hobby to business. You had to understand, I've got to understand the numbers. I have to do this. I have to do that. So anything that you need to actually run a business, you have to learn those skill sets. And they weren't really around back then. What I did was I got general business training. No one was teaching about how to do it on Zazzle. So then I had to go one step further and adapt all of this to Zazzle. I would be reading business things on how to do a brick or mortar and going like, okay, but this is online. How do I do that? And especially when I can't talk to the customer and I don't have any customer information. So all of that together had to be processed by me, and I had to figure things out. And now, because of that, I've come up with this, that I really just needed to educate myself, so that's establishing the business person that's doing the work, and then also set up my store properly so that it's established properly on the Zazzle marketplace. So that includes things like branding and knowing my customer, my avatar, who's going to come and buy, what kind of niches do they want to purchase in, like why do they come? For what reason do they come to the Zazzle marketplace? Why are they buying certain things and not other things, even though I put up a lot of different products? And by doing that research over time, I started to understand more and more about what people wanted that were on the Zazzle marketplace and what they didn't want. And then I could modify my behavior to change my product suite to make it work so that I would be doing less work because I didn't have to do that other work because no one was looking for that anyway, and do the work that was necessary to just get those products out there that people were searching for in the first place. Mm-hmm. All right. Is there anything else you want to do in terms of establishing that I missed? Because I just went crazy there in terms of telling people. Okay. Next one is create. And create is all about the creation or product suite that you are going to have in your store. It's just like buying inventory, right? But instead of buying inventory and putting physically into your store, you have to create the inventory digitally online in your digital store. And here again, it touches again, see how they're interwoven? So number 1 and 2 are already interwoven because you don't want to create products that are unnecessary. You just want to create products that you know will sell. And that's always the big thing. How Elke and Jen, what sells on Zazzle? And it's like, well, it's not us that predict this and have a crystal ball. It's that we've had much experience in terms of years of practice and years of seeing not only what's happening on the Zazzle marketplace, but doing research outside the marketplace, like on Google and other places where we understand buying trends, we understand current trends and what trends are dying off and which ones are coming into fruition, and then taking the action to create that in our product suite. And it's not that we and then the other part to this is that yes, we have certain stores that are very specific to artwork or photography, etc. But then there's also stores where we just have fun and we do things where we know that they sell. Like for example, I'm not that I was the only one doing monograms. There were people doing monograms on the Zazzle marketplace, but I kind of added to that and created a new resurgence on the Zazzle marketplace because I love doing monograms and they started selling. And so then actually when I was down in the Zazzle headquarters, because I went to visit once, they gave me a tour, which was really cool. The way they introduced me was, this is the person responsible for all those monogram products that we're selling. And yeah, so I kind of made a name for myself with that. But it's really wonderful to see that if something takes off, you can be creative in other ways. And that's another reason to let go of your artist ego, because I would have never expected that I'd enjoy being creative, creating monograms, because that was totally away from my abstract landscapes that I was doing in acrylic and do my photography that I love to do of seeing like landscapes. But as I said, I still do those and I sell those as well. But then I realized there's more potential to earn more money. So depending on how you want to serve the Zazzle marketplace customers, that's how you decide what you're going to have in your product suite, which is the second strategy, which is create. Mm-hmm. All right. Do you want to take the fourth strategy,
Sure.
which is announce?
The third strategy.
Sorry, the third strategy.
The third strategy is announce, and announce is all related to promotion. and promoting your products. And if you had listened to previous podcasts, we talk about our referral income and royalty income. So referral income comes from when you promote products and then you bring people externally to the Zazzle marketplace. And so promotion will help with your royalties and your referral earnings. And so in our strategies, we talk about how it's important to promote and get your stuff out there and get it known, and also promote internally as well, not just externally. So we're using the Zazzle marketplace to cross promote our products. And a lot of our clients or people on Zazzle, let's say, they don't like to promote as much because sometimes they think that it's too salesy or icky, or you don't feel good talking about your products. You like to just keep to yourself and just let things happen, which we fully understand, because when we first started out on Zazzle, we were a little bit hesitant to promote our products as well. But you don't have to do it in a icky way. It's possible to promote your products within your own boundaries of how you feel comfortable doing so. And so in our 5 strategies, we use the internal Zazzle marketplace, and then we also talk about using promotion. And so it is a wonderful way for you to get your products out there and build your brand, right?
Yes, and as I said before, all of the 5 strategies have to work together, and so unfortunately you have to promote. And what we recommend is the easiest way, which has the most effect, because there are already people who are on Pinterest, which is our recommendation. They go to Pinterest to look for ideas to buy. So it makes the most sense to promote there. And then the second piece of promotion is obviously making sure that your products are labeled properly, because then no one can find your products, even if they're absolutely amazing and would sell like hotcakes, if you actually just label them properly with a title that's a proper keyword, and also the tags, which also you can add a lot of keywords there.
So the 4th strategy is align, which means that you are aligning your business goals and your mindset together to make sure that it is in alignment with your Zazzle business. And this one is a little bit interesting for a lot of our clients and then people getting to know the 5 strategies, because they don't normally think of this, right? When you're creating a business, you just want to create a business because you want to make money most of the time, right? But this is the strategy where we tell you that this is how you have to align everything so that it feels cohesive, right? And it feels good to you, is in alignment with your brand, is in alignment with your vision, is in alignment with your goals, and also your mindset. And so it is very important as well, because a lot of people just disregard it.
And also what happens is there's a shift, right? Because, and as Jen said, the first thing we do is like, I've just got to work hard to make money online, and I got to hustle. That's why it's called a side hustle. And then when we speak about this and say, well, no, actually it needs to be aligned. You have to feel good about it. You don't want to spend too many hours working. In fact, we're going to give you a schedule and a procedure and strategy so that you can only work 20 hours a month and actually get most of the work done, if not all of the work, to get your business up and running, to maintain it, and to enjoy your life. Because what you're really doing is you're not just building a new business and it's going to be a lot of work, and then you can relax. It's let's start the new business the way we want to have our business run all the time. And that takes people for a little bit of a loop, because it's like, what do you mean I have to do this already the way it's supposed to look when we're making money? I have to work a lot more now, don't I? And really, that's not the case. Actually, our top earners have done exactly that. They were busy with other things. They couldn't even give more than 20 hours a month. And so therefore, they were really happy to be in a position to know a plan and a schedule and procedures of how they can just jump into the roadmap that Jen and I built in the Profit by Design Academy and just do the work. Don't question it. And that was super helpful. And just, if you think about it, that saying of, if you give a busy person the work, you'll know it'll get done. So we can kind of expand into time if we have it. Whereas what we don't want to do in our new business is to expand into the time. We want to also give ourselves that time to enjoy life and to do other things while we're doing this business, or even just feel good that we don't have to spend every minute that we have free in our outside of our regular day job to be able to create this new business. And that is huge, because then it makes it manageable. And it also gives you the feeling that you still have time to enjoy the things that you wanted that will be given to you because of the business, but start right at the beginning, which is really interesting. Like, obviously you can't buy a Lamborghini right away, but you can take half an hour off and say, well, I did half an hour on my Zazzle business, followed all the steps and strategies that Jen and Elke told me to, and I did it in half an hour. So now, because I didn't need to do that all by myself and figure it out all by myself and waste time, I have that extra half an hour out of my whole hour that I had free to go do something for myself. And that's part of what's really important in running a business, is that alignment, that structure of giving yourself that work-life balance, whatever you want to call it. It's just giving yourself that reward that of, yes, if I keep going in this business, I'm definitely going to make money and I can have a better life, and I'm getting a taste of that already. And also, yeah, it's not going to take over my other 9-to-5 job where I'm working really hard, because that's what I'm trying to get out of, right? Mm-hmm. So this is super, super important. And also alignment with the goals. And that's the one thing that we really focus on, is that you have to have goals, can't be afraid of them. And we have a really nice technique for you. We won't mention it here, but yeah, we actually have a couple of other podcast episodes that go right over it, but I didn't want to focus on here with that. But you have to make goals, set goals, and you have to make plans to reach them, right? Because otherwise it's just hoping, which doesn't run a business. Business does not get run by hope. Mm-hmm. And so that's the alignment part. So now we go into analyze, which is the last strategy. Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk about that, or should I?
Go for it.
Okay. My throat is getting croaky. I'm sorry for that. Okay, so what this part gets always ignored, even with our Pure Profit by Design Academy students. It's really tough to get them to feel comfortable doing this, because it's numbers. Mm-hmm. And it's also being honest with yourself. And that's just so hard, right? We are so determined, so interested in making this work. We put every ounce of our being into making it work, but we forget that maybe we don't know all the answers. And so while we're doing the work, even if you follow the Profit by Design Academy strategies, we have to check, is it working? And then if it's not working, how is it not working? And so this is what Analyze is all about, is just checking to see if it works, checking to see if you're on track, and if it doesn't look like you're on track, what can you do about it, right? That's where the second part of Analyze comes in. It's like, take action and say, okay, the thing I'm doing wasn't working, what can I do differently? And the thing that is working, how can I do that more often? Mm-hmm. And as simple as that, even though that's very, very hard, because it involves looking at your earnings, looking at numbers and views and conversion rates and all that stuff. But guess what? We make that super easy in the Profit by Design Academy. And we have live sessions that help you walk through that with us looking at your stats, and then you start to hear how we handle it, and then you start to learn yourself how you can interpret that. And so we take care of you with regards to that. It's so important. Mm-hmm. If you don't have that analyze section in there, you're not going to make it. And that's what I was missing initially. That for the first 2 years, when I started doing the analysis, that's one of the real big reasons why I switched from $2,300 in the previous year to $37,000 in this the second year that we're talking about.
No, that's a huge jump.
Yeah. And it was because I finally started running it as a business. Mm-hmm. As in a business, you have quarterly reports, you have weekly and monthly meetings, and what does the boss do? What are the numbers? And everyone's going like, I hope they're happy with how many sales we made. But now you have to do that. You have to be the boss, and you have to be the worker telling and so the boss, you on one side, is telling the worker on the other side, pull up your socks, do more work, or stop goofing around, or something like that. Or why are the numbers not what we expected? And so that's hard if you're just the same, like one person doing all that. Mm-hmm. But if you are in a community where you get support and you go like, oh man, I had a bad month or quarter, then there's support there for you. There's people who are can have empathy and then say, but guess what? This is what I did to get out of that. And because of that, there's so much more opportunity for you to get further along and continue to make more and more money. And hopefully you'll also make $37,000 in 1 year, which is awesome. But yeah, I can't make any income claim statements, but this is the 5 strategies. And as you can see, they all link together with the purpose of you being as profitable as possible, which means making a lot of money without working too hard and having a sustainable business model so that you can align with the life that you want and enjoy it while you're making money passively using the Zazzle platform.
Yes. So thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Creative and Ambitious Entrepreneur Podcast, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.